So celebrating love in action. All right. Today we're concluding our monthly theme, which was love in action. And I want to begin by sharing the quote that I started the whole month off with. It's Mother Teresa. And she said, "Love cannot remain by itself. It has no meaning. Love has to be put into action, and that action is service." And sacred service is also known by the ancient Sanskrit word seva. And we kind of came up with an acronym for that, which is self-expressing valiant action. And so what I want us to do is something we did 2 weeks ago, because I thought it was a really powerful thing. And this is to place your hand on your heart and say this with me. My heart is broken open to deeper love. My heart is broken open to deeper love. And I commit to acts of outrageous love. And I commit to acts of outrageous love that only I can do. That only I can do. Isn't that beautiful? I think that is so powerful. So as we begin or bring our theme of love in action to close today, I want to do something to celebrate the outrageous acts of love, the outrageous acts of sacred service and seva that only you can do and that you already do. And I want you to know that you already do more than you think that you do. I'm sure of that. So before we move to that little celebration, I want to share briefly 2 ideas that will support us in developing a true seva consciousness. One in which all thoughts of obligation, because I know a lot of times when we talk about service or doing, being of service to others, it feels like it's an obligation. But this is not what I'm talking about. This is where all thoughts of obligation or commitment or burden or any of those things that weigh us down are removed from the whole idea. First, and I think most of us in this room have this intention, but perhaps we don't connect with it. We don't connect it with seva. But we do have that intention to live, to serve God in all that we do. Our intention is that wherever we are in our life, whatever it is we're doing, our intention is to serve Spirit, is to every action is to be a part of serving Spirit in everything that we're doing. And by serve, I mean to honor and to revere and to hold holy and sacred this life force that is the creation back of all things. And to feel a deep and abiding connection with this energy and this presence. Not to be separated from that, just to feel that that's part of who you are. To live from a place of conscious union with the divine. Does that make sense? Does that feel like that? Okay. So, there's a wonderful story about Mother Teresa when she was asked, how do you do it? And I often thought about that. How does she do it? Day in, day out, caring for the sick and the poor, and those who have so very little. How do you serve the orphaned children and the lepers, the dying, people who are dying day after day, year after year? How do you do this? Her answer was profoundly simple, and it was profoundly beautiful. She said that in each face that she looked into, she saw the face of her beloved Lord Jesus, and she remembered his words, which were, "Those who serve the least among thee, serve me." So that's what really motivated her. She was so in touch with that divine, and that's what motivated her. And one of my other favorite stories, which I've shared before, but I'm going to share it again. It kind of goes along with your grandmother story this morning a little bit. And this is about a little boy who'd heard lots and lots and lots about God in Sunday school. And so he decided that, it's about time that he met God. He wanted to meet God. So one day he packed up a little bag and filled it with his most precious possessions, which were Twinkies and root beer. And he walked about 3 blocks to a park, and he thought, well, this is a beautiful place. Maybe I'll find God here. And he sat down. He sat down on a bench after looking around and seeing that there was really only one other person in the park. And this other person was an elderly lady, and she was sitting on one end of the bench. And so he went over and he sat on the other end of the bench. And he waited for a while, and she was just looking at the birds and the pigeons and the squirrels. And so pretty soon he opened up his bag and he pulled out a Twinkie and he started to eat it. And as he was eating, he thought, I wonder if she would like one. So without a word, he pulled out a second Twinkie and he handed it to her. Well, she took it, and she smiled so sweetly at him. And a little while later, he decided to have another Twinkie. I'm thinking Sugar Rush right now, but he decided, and so he offered her another one, and she took one and smiled at him again. Pretty soon, he opened his root beer because he was thirsty, and he thought, well, maybe she's thirsty too. So he took another root beer out, opened it up, and offered it to her, and she took the root beer, and she flashed the biggest smile, this biggest, beautiful smile at him. And the two of them sat there for almost 3 hours, eating Twinkies and drinking root beer. And they were looking at the squirrels, and they would every so often feed the pigeons just a little. And eventually it started to get dark, so the little boy gathered up his things and he began to walk away. And he suddenly turned on impulse, and he ran back to that little old lady, and he gave her a big hug. She hugged him right back, and she flashed him that beautiful smile again. And he went on home. They had never exchanged a word. When the little boy got home, his mother said, "So where have you been today?" And he said, "Well, I went to the park and I met God." And do you know what? She has a great smile. About the same time, the elderly lady entered her home where she lived with her adult son, who said, "Mom, you were gone a long time today, but gee, you look radiant. What happened?" She says, "Well, I was in the park today and I met God. And you know what? He's a lot younger than I thought." Mahatma Gandhi once said, "When you surrender completely to God as the only truth worth having, you find yourself in service of all that exists. It becomes your joy and recreation. You never tire of serving others." We develop a seva consciousness and help remove all feelings and thoughts of obligation, commitment, or burden when we have the intention to serve God, to see God in all that we do. That's the key, to see God in all that we do. Second, live from the intention that all you do is blessed and multiplied. That's the key right there. That's a pretty good frame of reference, isn't it? Wouldn't it feel wonderful to move through this life from the perspective that everything you say, do, and express today is a blessing, and that each blessing is multiplied? Notice how I didn't say that it would just be a blessing to you. And I also didn't say that it would be a blessing just to one another, but it would be multiple blessings returning to him or her and returning to you as well. A blessing with multiple returns. When we live from this intention, seva is a natural and automatic thing. When we are giving the very best of ourselves to other people and the activities we are engaged with, by the nature of the spiritual law, we cannot help but to receive in return the inner inspiration, revelation, and fulfillment that is also the very best that God has to offer us. I want to give you a little modified version of the Beatitudes from Jesus' Sermon on the Mount. "Blessed are those who love, for as love spreads throughout the earth, they shall be deeply loved. Blessed are the grateful, for their attitude of gratitude increases and returns the bounty of life. Blessed are the healers, for their world, and they too shall be well. Blessed are those who listen, for they shall be heard and understood. Blessed are those who choose to be kind rather than right, for they shall create long-lasting, beautiful relationships. Blessed are those who know how to give and to receive," equally important, "for inexhaustible richness is there. Blessed are the altruists, for they shall usher in the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are the servants, for they shall be served and attended to. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall find peace and well-being. Blessed are the joyful, for joy and happiness are theirs. Blessed are those who notice, for they shall find small delights around every corner." We just have to look for it, right? "And blessed are the flexible, for they shall not get bent out of shape." Okay, I'm sorry, I threw that one in myself. But that one actually comes from one of my favorite Bible verses, which is Romans. And I meant to bring it. I have a little plaque. I think it's 12. 13 or something like that. But it's be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. And it goes on to talk about when you are flexible and able to renew your mind and see the new ideas and the new things coming, becoming aware in your consciousness that you can be flexible and you can expand and you can grow. And it's a beautiful Bible verse. It's just lovely. So when I find it, I'll bring it in. But you can always look it up. Got a Bible down here too. So, as we live from the intention to serve God in all that we do, and from the intention that all we do is blessed and multiplied, we can't help but develop a true Seva consciousness. One in which all thoughts of obligation, commitment, or burden are replaced with true meaning and purpose to life. In the words of His Holiness, the 14th Dalai Lama, we are visitors for 90 or 100 years, maybe a little bit more, right? During that period, we must try to do something good, something useful with our lives. If you contribute to other people's happiness, you will find the true goal, the true meaning of life. Isn't that the truth? I've often read, I think Deepak Chopra is the one who wrote and said, you know, if you want success, help someone else become successful. You want happiness, help someone else find happiness. So let's spend the rest of our time here this morning doing something that I said we're going to do, which is to celebrate the Seva consciousness that exists already in each and every one of us. And of course, spiritual community gives us the opportunity to live in Seva. So first, what I want to do is recognize those here who do that on an ongoing basis. If you're currently serving this spiritual community in any way, please stand and stay standing. If you're currently serving, okay, board members, okay, all right, remain standing, okay. If you have in the past served this community, spiritual community in any way, please stand. This would be cleaning up our, yes, we have an adopted highway. That would be attending board meetings with good ideas, right? Mama? Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Now, for those that aren't standing, have you ever smiled at a fellow congregant? Have you greeted someone warmly during your Greet the Neighbor? Have you added your voice with the voice of others as we sing our song together? If you've done any of those things, then you've served this community, and this is a well-deserved standing ovation for each and every one of you. Now, turn to someone and say, thank you for serving. You are awesome. Turn to someone else and say, thank you for being a blessing in my life. Turn to a third person and say, thank you for sharing your unique gifts with us. We are rich because of you. Thank you for sharing your unique. We are rich because of you.
Thank you for sharing your gift. You're rich.
All right, now take a deep breath and turn within. You may be seated. Close your eyes and repeat after me. I am sacred service and I am awesome.
I am sacred service and I am awesome.
I am a blessing to this world and I am blessed.
I'm a blessing to this world and I am blessed.
My unique gifts provide richness to the world.
My unique gifts bring richness to the world.
I celebrate who I am.
I celebrate who I am.
I celebrate my unique gifts to the world.
I celebrate my unique gifts to the world.
And so it is.
And so it is.